Alright, everybody, what's up? It's time to talk about Fairy Tail.
Fairy
Holy fuck.
tale. So Mashima, he doesn't let us down. He'll let us down, but then he'll unlet us down.
He'll make up for it somewhere. Sort of.
Yep. You know, just like he gave us the shitty Grand Magic Games arc and Dragon King Festival arc, and then rewarded us with the Tartarus arc. Now,
hmm
with this, Ichiya, seemingly in one chapter, 3 of the 12 Spriggan 12 were taken out. In the following two chapters, those two of those three defeats were rectified.
Yeah.
So, and now we have a multi-front war setup.
Which I actually really like that.
And as of this point, the for the foreseeable future, the fight is going to be outside of Magnolia, since you have forces defending the north, the forces liberating the south, forces dealing with the east, and Natsu running off to try and take on Zeref in the west. So, for now, the people who are remaining in Magnolia from the guild are safe for now,
Yeah.
because now then again, there are still some, despite the fact that seemingly all the known forces have been distributed, there are still some key players or people that have been mentioned to be supposedly getting involved that didn't show themselves. One of which wasn't really important. No one gives a shit about. And that's Quattro Cerberus. They were
Yeah.
mentioned as supposedly they were here to help, but no one gives a shit. However, there are still two other major players that have yet to show themselves. But as we predicted, the guilds are getting involved. The other guilds are getting involved. The friggin' 10 Wizard Saints, more specifically, the 4 Heavenly Kings or 4 gods, however we want to call them, are
Yeah.
soloing the East, which is
Apparently.
said to be the most dangerous and threatening set of forces.
Yeah, they're the most immediate danger because Zeref's force is going very slowly right now, which makes sense.
Yeah. Now, I would bet my money on it that the Eastern forces is where God Serena is.
Mm.
Just for storyline purposes, I would think that would make sense in a way, but it would also make sense, like I said, it's unless our crazy theory that somehow Yuri Dreyer faked his own death and became God Serena, I don't see any, like, who else could take, like, what other person would have a reason to take on God Serena? Like, specifically, not just like, okay, they show up to the battlefield and then they end up getting paired.
hmm
Like, we all thought, if that was a plausible thing that, he was actually Yuri Dreyer, then, oh, Loxus, yes. But now Loxus on a is like on a vengeance, path of vengeance, to get Walrick, who's in the south.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that's definitely going to be interesting because we love Laxus
Yeah.
and he's a badass.
Hell yeah.
So, um, let's see. And in the south, joining him was it Mir Jane, Lizana, Elfman, was it Gajiel and Lily, I believe, from Fairy Tale, as well as the Mermaid Heel and Lamia Scale guilds,
hmm Yeah.
or was no Blue Pegasus,
Blue
or was
Pegasus. Okay, yeah.
I don't I
It's hard to keep track.
no, they're going to the north. No, no. Oh my god. I know it's hard to keep track. No, the group we just mentioned from Fairy Tale is joining Sabretooth and Blue Pegasus in the north. The southern group of Mermaid Heel and Lamia Scale is being back up from Fairy Tail is going to be was it Kana, I think? Gray, Juvia, Wendy, Sharla, and supposedly Natsu.
Mm-hmm.
But Natsu ran off to the Western Front to take on Zeref right now to end it all.
Yeah.
So does that mean that in the next chapter or two, Natsu might pull out his trump card?
Probably.
I mean, it would seem, given that this is leaning towards being the final arc, it would make not a lot of sense if this early on Natsu tries to take on Zeref.
Right.
Because there's still the other battle, the other fronts of this battle need to be dealt with. So it wouldn't make sense for him to try and take out Zeref, fail. The whole big reveal of E&D shows up, and then everyone now has to focus on trying to stop Natsu from destroying everything before he turns back on the good side and then uses that E&D power to take out Zeref.
Right.
Plus, there's Acnologia that still has to show up, and then the two other big players for the good guy side that have yet to show up, Gildarts and Crime Sorcier. Where are they?
I know, right?
I mean, specifically, before, Gildarts is just a theory that he's going to show up, which he better. And the other guilds were just recently mentioned as coming in to be involved, since originally all of them. Mavis didn't optimistically hoped that they weren't going to get involved at all, whereas for the most part, the guild members of the guild pretty much figured they would be involved in at some point. But even before all of that, it was mentioned that Crime Sorcier was going to fight alongside them. So where are they? Are they going to show up on the Eastern Front with the holy, gods of Ishgard, or are they going to join the Western Front with Natsu, or are they going to just show up randomly at all the fronts, or one of the other? Who knows? It's good setup, and it's unpredictable as to what direction it's going. We know that there are certain things that have to happen, but we don't know, like the whole E&D reveal and whatnot. So there's plenty of stuff that we know that we can speculate on, but the best part is that we're pretty much guessing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, granted, this is a shonen, so it's not like, okay, Fairy Tail's gonna lose, or at least not be completely wiped out. However, the journey is shaping up to be one hell of a ride.
Oh, hell yeah.
And like we said earlier in the video, Acnologia has to show up at some point too.
Mm-hmm.
And like when in the freaking Tartarus arc, when he showed up, like all the Dragon Slayers were freaking the hell out because they could sense that shit at their very core, because I believe that was their dragons reacting to it. But the whole idea is like there was that huge hype then. There's always huge hype with him when he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But every time he has shown up in the series so far, each time the hype behind Acnologia, I feel, has only gotten bigger.
Pretty much.
Because I think, Acnologia, I think, was first mentioned when Gildarts was first introduced, because he talked about how that's who he went after.
Mm-hmm.
He went after Acnologia and ended up he pretty much got beaten in an instant, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
And then there was that hype, and then he was hyped up even more when he actually showed up on Tenro Island. Then there was the added hype from the whole Dragon King Festival arc where Rogue was trying to get all these dragons together to try and take out Acnologia. Then he shows up in the Tartarus arc, and so now in this arc, when you know it's pretty much hinted at that this is going to be the time where most likely Acnologia is going to not live past his encounter in this arc.
Yeah.
So, given that information, it is going to be this time the hype behind him is going to be even greater because it's just going to be an amazing fight and I cannot wait. So, I mean, for this chapter, very much an improvement over the double chapter. Yes, there was a dip in the quality, but Hiro Mashima brought it back up, and it seems to be going. I don't see the top at this point. I mean, I expect it. I fully expect it since it's Hiro Mashima that it's going to dip again, and probably go up and down like a roller coaster several times through this arc, because Mashima can't be consistent.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing.
Well, sorry, that would be actually he is consistent. It's his consistency is that he roller coasters in story quality throughout an arc.
Yeah, he's consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. But this chapter was very good at, doing what it was meant to do, which is set up the next stage of the war.
Right.
And it made sure that you were properly hyped for the next part, which is promising to be far more interesting than the first wave, which was just Urza takes out bad guy, 2 of the others are thought to be taken out, and then a bunch of fodders, fought. So, and the possible team ups between certain characters based on who's on what side of the battlefield is definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like the chapter. I do like how it's splitting up into separate battles, because otherwise it really wouldn't be a one big battle.
Well, then again, if you think about it, if a war is is multiple battles, but I mean, if in true sense, it would have to last at least, like, you would think a couple of days is the tradition. Like, okay, but it's okay. This seemingly will probably be like one long continuous fight, just on different fronts.
Probably.
I mean, given the fact that it seems, if I'm led to believe, I think when the first wave did their sneak attack I believe that was morning?
Something like that, yeah.
So I could see like the climax of this arc, or like a huge point in the middle, either like some huge part of the middle, or the climax will happen sometime around night, unless he plans on extending it even further, like more than 2 days.
But yeah, with that, I do like that. I mean, everything with Brandish, I mean, I want her to spill the beans like Lucy does, but at the same time, whatever, it'll come.
He's not ready to give up.
It'll come when it comes. You can't rush it. So, yeah, that'll be about it.
To pretty much reference what Igniel said in the last major arc, fight now, talk later.
Yeah.